Hey, what's going on, guys? We got another episode 2 of the Higgie and Rob podcast. We hope you guys enjoyed episode 1. Had some pretty good feedback on it. Um, of course, you got me, as always, your host, Higgie, and alongside me, I got your co-host, Rob. How are you doing today, Rob?
Man, I'm doing great. What is up, XCFL? I hope everyone is doing well. Special shout out to the Bills Mafia on a 3-0 start. And you know what? I'd like to give a shout out to Chadwick's new hero, Danny Jones.
Danny Jones. All right, we've got a good podcast planned for you guys today. We're going to go over our, evaluations, similar to how we did on episode 1. We've got another very special guest that we will introduce later on in the show. We're going to have our office rant, brand new subject, and we'll cover the results of the previous rant, that time as well. And then to close things out, we're going to have a breakdown of our top 5 best teams in the league right now and our bottom 5 worst teams in the league. So we hope you guys will stick around and enjoy listening to that. All right, to start off the show today, we are going to start off with our evaluation segment. This is a segment where we decide one team each who we think deserves the write-up for the episode based off of whether it's poor performance or whatnot. And then we also pick a pay raise for the episode, which will be who we think deserves the major props for how they're performing currently in the XCFL. Rob, you started off last week's episode, so I'm going to do the honors of starting off today's. And
Okay.
with today's write-up, I've got down none other than the Buffalo Bills. And I mean, no, this isn't personal, but you had your best season of your XCFL career last season, 8-8.
True.
Showing high hopes. Everybody was thinking you're going to be, competing for that division. Find your first playoff appearance, and here we are. You find yourself 0-5 at the bottom of the league, one of only 2 teams without a win right now. And I feel like you got a better roster than that. You got the talent to be winning some ball games. Funny thing is, I mean, you were talking about it earlier. Your division is wide open, but you put yourself in such a hole starting off. Even with the struggles of the Patriots and the Jets, I still think it's too far gone for you at this point, and that's why I've given you the write-up of the week, sir. And my pay raise, and it pains me to do this, but I feel like at this point, especially after what I just seen, at the time that we're recording this episode, I've got to give the pay raise to Mr. Chad Daddy. I mean, he is the only undefeated team left in the XCFL. He had a stellar season last season. I mean, this is a Mike Chadwick that since me and you have been in the league, I mean, the XCFL just hasn't seen.
Absolutely.
It's insane. And he's finding himself undefeated. Just took down the reigning Super Bowl champion, Tosh, in this last game that we just watched. And Chad's got me won over. And until he proves me different and falls back to the old Chad, I've got to. He deserves the pay raise. He deserves his props. And this guy is going to compete for playoffs and championships. He's already on his way to win his, second division title of the cycle, back to back. So that's who I've got. So why don't you tell everybody who you've got on yours?
Well, I'm definitely not picking myself. You know what? I tell you what I'll do. Let's work on the West a little bit here. You want to rib on me? I'm gonna give my write up to a guy that was sitting at 1-3. He actually snuck a win out tonight to go to 2-3. But this is a guy, Mr. Brackett, that in my opinion, I think he jumped off the Phillip Rivers wagon 1 year too early. Um,
100%.
I mean, you got Denver, big, strong team in that division. That pains me to say. You got Oakland, and we'll talk about Oakland in a minute. And you got Kansas City that's got the legitimate team, and Sean's starting to come around. He's starting to figure out Mahomes a little bit. I'm starting to wonder if maybe we've seen the last of bracket when it comes to the postseason. I mean, the guy's got a team. He traded away Rivers. He went with the young guy Phillips, and to me, I think he deserves my write-up. Now let's talk about pay raises for a minute, and I'm going to stay in the West.
Right?
A guy that's coming off of, in my opinion, a nice win against you there, Mr. Higgie. I'm giving my pay raise to Das. He's 3-3 now. This guy has played the CPU, or should I say the unbeatable CPU, twice. What I don't know why, and we'll get into that later. But he's got two quality wins over Josh's Jets and Higgie's Broncos, because there for a while you kind of had Das's number. I personally think Das is flexing his muscle a little bit.
Yeah, you can't ever count Doss out.
Absolutely not. And to me, I think he's starting to make his move. So I'm giving him a pay raise.
Understandable. Those are two very understandable picks you have there. That's our write-up and pay raises for today's episode. Feel free to comment on our picks. Send us some tweets. Let us know what you think, who you guys would choose as your write-up and pay raise, or who you think deserves it, or why you don't think someone we picked deserved our choice. That's going to be it for this short segment, and we're going to move on to the next one. All right, guys, and up next we have our interview. We have another special guest, none other than Jared Phillips, the QB of the LA Chargers. How are you doing today, Jared?
Not doing too bad. Excited to be here for this interview.
Good, man. Good, man. We really appreciate you coming on the show. You're our second interview. Obviously, this is episode 2. So I'm just going to start you off with the burning question that I think a lot of guys are wondering. You got drafted 12th overall to a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. I mean, they got rid of Hall of Fame quarterback Philip Rivers, who not only won them the AFC West last year, but he also took them to the playoffs. And they nix him. He goes to Pittsburgh. They draft you, number 12. Rough start for you. You did come out with a win this last game. You're sitting at 2-3. I mean, how do you plan to follow in those footsteps and kind of turn things around for this organization and get them back to where they were?
First of all, I would like to say that I have, since I was a young kid, always loved watching Philip Rivers play football, and there's certain aspects of my game I've tried to model after Philip Rivers, because I mean, the guy's going to be in the Hall of Fame, so why wouldn't you want to model your game after a future Hall of Famer?
Yep.
Very humbling that the Chargers organization would move on from their Hall of Fame quarterback to take me 12th in the draft. And I know the season's got off to kind of a shaky start, going from the division champs last year to now we're sitting at 2-3, and our next 5 games are really tough, but it's still early in the season. And we've definitely got a lot of things to work on, but I really think, especially with this week of practice, you can just tell things are starting to gel a lot more. And we've got some playmakers on our team too. Derwin James might be one of the top 5 defensive players in the league. So we've definitely got a lot of good things coming. I know we've had a shaky start, but I definitely think we're going to get things lined out.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Definitely not easy being in the shadow of a future Hall of Famer like Rivers. And while we're on that subject, I don't mean to put you on the spot. These are just some questions that I think a lot of guys are wondering. We've been hearing a lot of rumblings out of the fan base over there, and Philip Rivers is still in the league. He's sitting over in Pittsburgh, 3-2, and he seems to be playing just the way he left off, and for the Chargers last year, he's playing great. And then on the other hand, you're in your rookie season. There are some speed bumps to be expected, but you've got 8 touchdowns and 14 interceptions, and then we're only 5 games in. So, I mean, does that affect your game at all? Living in that shadow, or do you just kind of block that out?
To be honest with you guys, I mean, until you brought up the stats, I really haven't paid much attention to the stats. I mean, I know I got a sheet in front of me now, and I'm kind of looking. Obviously at my completion percentage, I'd like for that to be a little bit higher, and it's not a good feeling being tied for the league lead in interceptions, but coming into the league straight out of college and going in, and being a starting quarterback, it's definitely, a lot of people don't realize how big of an adjustment it is. And I know, Philip's over there in Pittsburgh and playing like Philip Rivers, because he's got that experience, and I haven't had but 5 games of NFL experience yet, so I'm still trying to get my feet underneath me and figure some things out. But I can assure you guys that we're headed in the right direction. It's gonna get better. It's not been the start we wanted, but it's good to take those losses early and learn your lessons early.
Hey, Jared, this is Rob. You mentioned get your feet underneath you. Your sophomore year at USF, you suffered a pretty nasty ankle injury. I mean, you're considered a dual threat quarterback. You've got tremendous wheels, able to run the ball, good arm, able to pass, good accuracy. But that injury, the ankle injury back in your sophomore year, how was you able to overcome that and continue on and make your path to the XCFL? I mean, that was a horrific ankle injury, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely was not part of the plan, but looking back on it, there's a lot of people don't know my freshman year of high school, I broke my collarbone and had to set out the entire season. So I had faced that kind of adversity before, and I knew the kind of steps I needed to take to get back to where I needed to be. I needed to listen to my doctors, do the rehab. And to be honest with you, as gruesome as that ankle injury was, and trust me, there was a lot of doubts for a while that I might never be able to play football again. I knew what I needed to do to come back stronger, and I really feel like I have came back stronger since that ankle injury.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you went 12th overall in the draft. I could tell you there was a few people that was targeting you. I had heard some rumblings. We had done some mock drafts. We had you projected, I think around 16, 17, if I remember correctly, Higgie. He went a little bit earlier than that, and I know there were teams that was kind of sneaking up there that was going to take a shot at him. But I mean, dual threat quarterback. Rumor has it, superstar X Factor. We'll find out here soon. And Jared, you're going to get the opportunity to play Higgie here in a couple weeks, and then you'll play myself a little bit later in the season. So we're both, I'm sure, looking forward to seeing what you bring to the table. And welcome to the XCFL. Love the fact that you got a Twitter page and you're building a little fan base there. And I think there was a big business decision with you, letting Rivers walk and bringing you on.
Yeah, I gotta ask, where does the nickname Zeus come from? I see that's your Twitter handle there.
When I was in high school, I was big into Greek mythology, and whenever I went up to college, my teammates knew that I was big into Greek mythology, so they gave me the nickname Zeus because I was always talking to them about different Greek mythology stuff, and they just Thought it would be creative if they gave me that nickname.
Hey,
Isn't
man.
it ironic that he's on the Chargers now throwing bolts?
Yeah, that is like it was meant to be.
Never thought about it like that, guys.
Yeah, you got a tough schedule here coming up. I mean, your next game is the only undefeated team left in the XCFL. Chad Daddy's Texans. He is on fire. I mean, how do you plan on handling these next few games? You've got some powerhouses coming up. The Saints. You play pretty much the rest of your AFC West opponents that you haven't played yet so far this season. So what's your guys' what's your plan?
Yeah, for sure. The road doesn't get easier for us. That is for sure. I honestly think our team thinks it too. We're really excited to be able to play these teams, especially now, to really see where we're at and see what we need to work on. And who wouldn't want to beat the best? Because whenever you beat the best, you prove that you are the best. So I definitely think we're definitely more excited than nervous for this tough schedule we have coming up.
Nice.
All right, man. Well, we are glad that you came on the show today. Me and Rob both, we look forward to seeing your progression, here in the XCFL, and we wish you the best, man. Looking forward to playing you, and we just wish you the best and hope that things pick up for you.
Guys, I appreciate you guys asking me to come on and interview me.
Yeah, no problem, man. We hope to maybe have you on again in the future when hoisting that Lombardi Trophy. Maybe we can give you an interview then.
Well, thank you. I know you guys were definitely on my bucket list, and another one on my bucket list definitely is Richard Fitzwell. I wouldn't mind getting interviewed by him either.
I might be able to arrange that. He's up there with me in Western New York, so I might be able to arrange that.
I'd heard the rumors that he was making a comeback. He's got his health issues under control, but I hadn't heard anything else about it.
Oh, he's on the mend. Yeah, he's on the mend for sure. Jared, thanks for coming on, bud.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
See you, Jared. All right, moving on to our office rant segment. We are going to be discussing a topic that me and Rob kind of came up with and thought it would be neat to talk about, and the different sides of what we've seen so far in the XCFL, and that is the CPU games and having to play the CPU, whether to play the CPU or to not play the CPU.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of different opinions on this. And Rob, I'm going to let you kind of start off and just start this rant off with how you feel.
Well, first of all, the hardest user in the XCFL, hands down, the evil All Madden CPU. It can't be stopped. It knows what you're doing on offense. It knows what you're doing on defense. To play within the rules that we have in the XCFL, taking down the computer will be very difficult. Earlier, I mentioned when I gave my pay raise out to Das, of all the things he's done, and he's 3-3, Das has played the CPU twice already. Insane. I mean, I even had to message him and say, "What are you doing?" And he gave me his reasons. And to be honest with you, his reasons made sense. In my opinion, with the exception of a breakthrough player, why else would anyone dare to play the mighty CPU? Das's reasonings were different, but I mean, I don't know. You tell me, Higgs. Are you going to play the CPU this season?
Well, it's not an easy decision, or really not an easy answer. As everybody knows, it is hard to beat the CPU. I think that we're going to have someone this cycle beat them. I don't think you're going to see the CPU be beaten very often. DOS has kind of set the standard. I mean, I can't go into the AFC West leading right now, and if I have to play the CPU this season, I can't sim it and feel good about myself when DOS is only trailing me by a game and has 2 sim games. So I'm going to have to play the CPU if it arises, and I only feel like that's fair. And then I don't really mind it. And honestly, I don't know what DOS reasons were that you and him talked about, but this early in the cycle, you get some, by playing the games, you get a little extra XP, um, and you get it. It's practice. So, like you said, the CPU is the best user in the league. So you're going to get practice pretty much against the hardest opponent you're going to play, and it's only going to make you better. And to take those losses early on in the cycle be a lot different than taking them later. Will my tone change in season 9 when there's only one season left and my team's built to try to win the last 2 Super Bowls, or just make it to the playoffs, or whatever? Do you decide to take a force win against the CPU then? It's more understandable then. And right now, my team's really not where it needs to be. I'm not really gaining much by getting that win, and that's kind of my side on it. I mean, it's tough. That's definitely set the bar. I mean, I'm definitely going to play him if I have to.
Okay. Okay. Well, I tell you what, the entire XCFL has heard that statement. So, in my opinion, I say Week 14, Broncos Bills. I'll have the Broncos play the CPU, and I'll broadcast.
Are you scared? Are you worried?
I mean, I'm willing to broadcast that game.
Listen,
if we want.
I know how much you care about the XCFL community, and the XCFL community want to see Rob versus Higgie. Okay, so we can't deprive the league of what they want.
Good point. Good point. Maybe next year, that's for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see what everyone thinks. Certainly, Higgie, get that up on the Twitter as the question. But I'm really kind of curious to see what everybody thinks. But yeah, you're right. DOS has definitely set the standard, facing the CPU twice. So
here's the deal. Here's the thing that I got to look at, and as a competitor, someone who wants to win. I mean, you know how competitive I am, and at the end of the day, when you sit and look at it, if DOS finishes the season 9-7, 10-6, I'm going to use him as an example because, like you said earlier, he's played 2 CPU games already and took 2 losses that could have been wins if he wanted to. So if he's sitting at 9-7, 10-6 at the end of the season, could have had 2 more wins, and there's another playoff team that gets in, or maybe a guy gets in a game over him and took a couple forced wins to do it. I would feel dirty if I was the guy that took forced wins. He didn't, and I only get in a game over him. That would make me.
Yeah.
It would make, if that's how I got in, that would make me feel. It's one thing if I don't have any opportunities to do that, but if I did, and he were to have played his CPU games while I took forced wins, it just wouldn't make it feel right at the end. So that's what guys have to think about. I mean, even if you're on the NFC side, if you got guys over here on the AFC who are playing the CPU for whatever the reasons might be, some guys might be okay with taking the forced wins, and that's perfectly fine. It's not against the rules. You're allowed to take. I think it's two a season you're allowed to take. So
Yep.
I mean, you're not necessarily breaking the rules. It's just I don't know if I would feel good about myself knowing that if that scenario rose up where I got in by taking a couple forced wins and a guy that only missed out by a game behind me played the CPU and took 2 losses because of it. I'm not really sure how I'd feel about that.
Yep. And it's funny that I'm the one saying that I'd be scared to death to play the CPU, and really and truthfully, the CPU would wreck me. But looking back to M19 and so far into M20, I have yet to take a forced win. I've played the computer in M19 and got drummed, but I've yet to take a forced win in the XCFL. But I don't know if I would play all Madden CPU.
Yeah, well, when I first started playing Madden, I worked my way up to playing on all Madden, and it was not fun at first. Then I got to the point that that's all I played on, and that's actually what made me better. I mean, I think I started playing hardcore, like all the time, probably Madden, 14 or Madden 15. And, I started just forcing myself to play all Madden, me and my brother did. And that's all we played on. And it made me better. So that's kind of my viewpoint in this one, too. And if you look at Doss, I mean, he played twice. He almost won the second game. That second game was like a one-score game, I think. He almost won
True.
it. So I do believe, if you play those games, it's going to make you improve. And he's a good example. He's done nothing but be playing lights out. So that's kind of where I stand on it. I know it may not be the most popular opinion in the league, but that's kind of how I feel about it.
All right. Well, get the Twitter poll going out there, and let's see what everybody else thinks.
Yeah, we'll get the Twitter poll up, guys. Let us know who you agree with. Like I said, this question really hasn't been asked. It hasn't been talked about in the chat too much that I've noticed. So I don't know what anybody's thoughts are going to be. So just let us know. Who do you agree with? Are you gonna play the CPU if the opportunity presents itself, or are you gonna take the force win? We'll have that up shortly after this video is put out, and just let us know. Tweet at us, vote. It'll be up for a couple of days. Let us know. And speaking of that, our last office rant was over the hit stick, and Higgie 1-0 on the office rant. Won the vote. I think it was 19 votes we had, and second up was the answer that everybody voted for. So vote on this one. We appreciate it. 19 votes is not bad. I mean, episode 1, 19 votes. That's awesome. We appreciate you guys' participation. So we're gonna shoot to try to get 32 plus votes on those eventually. So just vote on the poll. Tweet us. We'd greatly appreciate it. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and move into our final segment here, where we're going to talk about who we have down as our top 5 and bottom 5 teams of this current season. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about the top 5. I'll talk about mine, and then you can talk about yours, Rob.
Sounds good.
Alrighty, for my top 5, I'm going to start with 5, and I'm going to go to 1. At number 5, I have Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They played great last season, continuing to play great this season, and I think that if they continue to do what they're doing, this team's in for good things. I've got them listed at number 5. Number 4, I have New Orleans Saints. Again, another team played great last season, playing great this season. I mean, Alvin Kamara is an absolute monster, and he is just on a rampage right now throughout the XCFL. This dude is going to lead the league in rushing if he continues to do what he's doing, and he's not even going to be able to be touched. It's going to be insane. Number 3, I have the reigning Super Bowl champions, Browns, sitting at number 3. Still a great team and still has a shot at winning another Super Bowl, but they've lost a few games that I feel like, maybe they should have won or that I had them down as winning. They lost a couple. So he slides, from what probably would have been my number 1 pick to my number 3 pick. Number 2, I have the San Francisco 49ers at number 2. This team will win a Super Bowl this year, in my opinion. I think they're going to win a Super Bowl this cycle. It's going to happen. They're performing with a somewhat average, slightly above average roster. I mean, this roster is nowhere near where Mr. Larson wants it, and he's already competing at a high level. So they're sitting at my number 2. Number 1 is none other, and I know this stings for a lot of people, but it is Mr. Chad Daddy sitting at the only undefeated team in the XCFL. He deserves it. I don't care what anyone says. He's undefeated, and he's been playing great now for a season and a half almost. This guy is the number one team in the XCFL on my list. So why don't you go ahead and tell us what yours is, Rob?
Well, my 5 is a little bit different. Coming in at 5 for me is my man Pride. Go Bills. He's got the pack, and I mean he's got a great season going right now. He's got him a couple division wins, looking real good. I think everybody's still kind of scratching their head on that week 1 loss to the Seahawks. Or he'd be undefeated right now. But Pride's looking good. At number 4 is where, we have a little bit of a disagreement. I'm bringing in Nick at 4 with the 49ers. I played him early in the season, week 1, and he got me, and he is tough. But NFC is kind of interesting.
You said Larson?
Larson, yep.
Gotcha. Messed up on the graphics there, folks. That 3 and 4 should be switched.
I'm sorry about that. Yep. And then I've got the Bucks. And the Buccaneers got a really bizarre schedule coming up because they've got Falcons coming out of their bye, and then they got your Denver Broncos, and then they turn right around and play the Falcons again. So kind of a weird little stretch for them. And my apologies on that because actually I was kind of teetering on the fence between the Niners and the Bucks. So that was kind of on me with those graphics. But Cowboys at 2. He's got him a nice little W week 1 over the defending Super Bowl champions. Kind of got his revenge a little bit there. His schedule sets up real nice for this last remaining stretch. And then I'm going to agree. Chadwick is undefeated in the XCFL and deserving of the number 1 spot there. So it's just been a huge week for Chadwick with Danny Dimes coming to life and undefeated. And Chadwick has beat Regan and Tosh. I mean, very, very quality wins that he's putting out. But that's my top 5.
Yeah, so congratulations, Chad. Don't let it go to your head. Keep playing your game. Try not to fall off. We're going to go ahead and go to our bottom 5 choices, and I'll let you lead this off, Rob, starting at your number 28 choice.
28, I got the Colts. Aces down there, and not really a familiar spot for him. But, he kind of got struck with a pretty tough. I mean, he played Pride early. He's played Regan. I mean, he's played Chadwick. He's played pretty tough schedule. He's had Hammer a couple times, split with him. 29, I've got the Giants. Congratulations on a big win by him over Dave. Really huge win. He's been playing, giving everything he's got. It just seems like he was coming up a little bit short. At 30, I'm going to go with Coach Boone and the Rams. Really surprised by this. When he had us all kind of together before the season started, doing the invitational, and he was having some success. And he kind of got in there last year and ripped that team up a little bit, shipped Goff off to the Giants, and shook his roster up a little bit. He's got Viper Vic starting for him at QB, who's doing fine. He's just young, he's a later round pick. He's young, and he's just got to go through the learning curves. And then at 31 is kind of where I slide in, 0-5. I've lost 3 games by 3 points or less. I'm having a tough time finishing games. Been bit a couple times by just some really bad luck, blocked extra point of all things, and a 1 point loss to Brent, who's just really good. I mean, I played my heart out trying to beat him. And then last but not least, and no offense, Double Nut, but I've got you at 32. Last time I looked at the monitor, you were down 28-0 in third, looking like on your way to 0-6. But I tell you, I feel like Double Nut can turn it around. He put some great stuff out. So with his Twitter, handle, I think he's going to be able to get it turned around. He's got a young quarterback, get him going in the right direction, and he should be good.
Yeah, we've got a similar bottom five. Starting out with my number 28, and 28 through 30 on my list could really be flip-flopped anyway. But I've got Boone sitting at 28, and you kind of hit, the nail on the head. I mean, in the Invitational, Boone looked like he was going to be a threat. What I think Boone's problem is he hit some adversity that we've all had, Madden being Madden, and I think he made some, irrational decisions to, jump ship on Brandon Cooks, who I think is a freaking stud. And, he got rid of Jared Goff, which may or may not have been a good decision. Long term, Jared Goff probably wasn't in the plans, but to get rid of him just so quickly, I don't know if it was the right call. He kind of dismantled that team a little bit. I mean, he did keep Aaron Donald. If it wasn't for some of the rules we have in place, I don't even know if he'd have him. So he slides into my bottom five at 28. 29, you've got the Colts. Ace isn't a bad user. He's got a good QB. He's struggling right now, throwing a lot of picks. He's tied with the top picks in the XCFL with Jared Phillips. So I've got them at 29, 30, and he jumped up a spot or two with his win. Or else he may have been 31, 32, but at 30 I've got the Giants. He's been struggling, but he did get a nice win over a quality opponent in Dave. So, maybe he can turn things around and string together some wins. At 31, and this could have very easily been 32, wasn't for the fact that the Bengals just don't seem to be improving. But at 31, I've got the Buffalo Bills. No wins, and I feel like they are really underperforming with that roster. And at 32, poor Double Nut, also with no wins, and I hope Dalton Decker can get things turned around and start stringing some wins together for that organization because they desperately need it. So that'll do it for our top five and bottom five picks. Been a good season so far. So we wish everybody the best of luck for the remainder of the season, and
absolutely,
keep it up, and let's try to get these seasons knocked out. All right, guys, that's going to do it for our episode 2 of the Higgie and Rob podcast. We hope you guys enjoyed the show. Again, make sure to follow us on Twitter at HiggieRob_XCFL. We're going to have that poll question up for the office rant today. Are you going to play the CPU or are you going to not play the CPU? We'd like to hear your guys' input on what you think on that. Also, guys, if you want to hear any other interviews from any other XCFL personalities, anything you can think of, any ideas, please reach out to us. Send us a message on Twitter, tweet at us, whatever. Just reach out to us. Let us know what you guys want to hear or what you guys want to see on the show, and we're going to do our best to make it happen. Also, we tweeted out about some questions. Please tweet us some questions that you want us to ask on the show. We're wanting to do a Q&A, coming up in one of our next few episodes, but we're going to kind of wait until we get enough questions to be able to do that segment. So feel free to shoot us any questions you can think of. We're going to handpick a few and put them on the show. Rob, you got anything you want to say in closing?
Guys, take her easy. We're having a good time enjoying doing this. I'm really curious to see what kind of Twitter responses we get on personalities that they'd like to hear. So great time, as always. Thanks a lot, Hig.
Yeah, no problem, Rob. Thanks for being on here with me. Again, guys, we appreciate you listening. We hope you guys enjoy. We're going to continue to try to put out as much of this content as we can. Just please give us some feedback, any ideas that you have. We're going to do our best to make it happen. We want to make you guys happy and putting out the best content we possibly can. So tweet at us, message us, whatever you guys want to do. Again, good luck to everyone. Thank you guys for listening. Higgie out.
Wrap up.